For more on this, I want to bring in Mike Davis now. He's the founder and president of the Article 3 Project, and he's been following all of this very closely. He's a lawyer. Mike, good to have you with us.
Thank you for having me.
So, Mike, on top of all the other indignities involved here, Andy McCarthy's assessment is that this is unconstitutional. It's unconstitutional both as a matter of the federal constitution as well as the state constitution of New York. Do you agree?
I do agree. In order to pass constitutional muster, a criminal charge must provide fair notice to the defendants before the trial so the defendant can prepare his defense at trial. And the problem is that they have not, the Alvin Bragg has not done this in this case. The legal theory is still up in the air, and we are in week 3 of this trial.
Yeah, as Andy writes today, Trump is charged with, not with a conspiracy, but with 34 substantive felony violations of a New York statute that makes it a crime to falsify business records with the fraudulent intent to conceal, quote, another crime. But nobody's told Trump what the other crime is. How is that even possible? How could an American be in a courtroom without being told what the crime is?
Well, we all know what Trump's crime is for these Democrats, and that is that he decided to run for president. And so the Democrats, they're going to do everything they can to stop him, and they don't care if this violates the due process clause of the U.S. Constitution or the due process clause of the New York Constitution. For them, the ends justify the means, and their entire goal, and they've made that very clear throughout this criminal trial, all of this lawfare and election interference, their entire goal is to label Trump a felon and put him in prison before November 5th, 2024, because they fear American voters.
So, and not only are they trampling his Fifth Amendment rights, they're also very much trampling on his First Amendment rights. He's not allowed to defend himself. You and I have talked about this, Mike. And that includes, he's not slandering anybody. When he just points out the construction of the case, he's not allowed to do that. He's not allowed to mention that a Department of Justice attorney by the name of Matthew Colangelo, number 3 at the Department of Justice, has left that job and has now joined the Alvin Bragg hit job against Trump. He can't mention Matthew Colangelo's name. Have you ever seen a gag order that expansive in any case other than with Trump?
No, and remember, gag orders are put in place to protect criminal defendants, not to protect the government. The whole point of a gag order is a limited time, place, and manner restriction on others' First Amendment rights so you can protect the criminal defendant's constitutional rights in a very limited manner during a very limited time of his trial. And these Democrat judges and prosecutors and operatives have turned the Constitution on its head. They started to do this under Roger Stone, where they put a gag order on a criminal defendant there. I mean, if there's anyone in America who must have the constitutional right to speak out against the judge, the prosecutor, their stabs, the witnesses, their biases, and the process, it is a criminal defendant going through a criminal process.
Well, the other piece here is that not only is Trump gagged, his entire campaign is gagged. So representatives for Donald Trump's presidential campaign are not, at least according to their legal understanding of what's going on here, they're not allowed to even discuss Joe Biden's involvement in this case in New York. They can't mention Matthew Colangelo in the Biden Department of Justice. They can't even bring it up. I just talked to Caroline Levitt on my program this past week, and she said, I'm sorry, that gentleman you just mentioned, I can't discuss him because of the judge's gag order. He's interfering in an election, Mike Davis.
That's absolutely right. And another thing that this Juan Merchan, this Manhattan Democrat judge who donated to Biden in 2020 and donated to another anti-Trump cause, the other person he won't allow anyone to talk about in Trump world is that his adult daughter, Lauren Merchan, is a leading Democrat fundraiser and consultant for Biden, for Kamala Harris, for Adam Schiff, many Democrats, and she's actually raising money on this case. She's raising money on her father's unprecedented trial of a former president who happens to be the leading presidential candidate. She's raising tens of millions of dollars off of this. And even a former federal Clinton judge in the Southern District of New York went on Caitlin Collins' show on CNN on April 5th, 2024, and said under New York statute, because Judge Juan Merchan's daughter is raising money off this case, he must recuse under New York statute. New York statute goes out 6 degrees of separation. A daughter is in your first degree of separation. Merchan clearly has to recuse when Trump raises this evidence of bias, how does Judge Merchan respond? He imposes a broader, more unconstitutional, more illegal gag order on Trump. This is un-American, what they're doing. This is actually a criminal conspiracy against rights, a very serious federal civil rights criminal violation by this Soros-funded Manhattan DA, Alvin Bragg, by Colangelo, and by Merchan. This is a civil rights violation. This 18 U.S.C. 241, this is a clear civil rights violation. And frankly, in the next, when Trump's back in office, his Justice Department should open a criminal probe on this.
This led to yesterday a deadline imposed on Donald Trump. The judge alleges that by sharing a number of articles about the case on Truth Social, that Donald Trump had violated the gag order, and he forced him to take down, I believe, 9 different posts and imposed a $9,000 fine on Donald Trump. He claimed in his order that he's hemmed in by New York state law. I guess in this one case, he's following New York state law. And he says he can't impose any higher fines, $1,000 a piece, but he acknowledges that Donald Trump is very rich and this is nothing to him. $9,000 is a drop in the bucket. And he threatened, he said, to put Trump in jail if he continues to, quote, violate the gag order. And I wonder what you think about what Trump's strategy should be in the face of this, Mike Davis, because I've been sitting here, it's easy for me to say. It's not me. It's Donald Trump's freedom on the line. But I do wonder if there's some wisdom in saying, like, daring the judge to throw him in jail. You want to do that? You want to turn me into a political prisoner? Go for it.
I mean, I do. I dare this judge to put Trump in jail. I mean, I'm not the one going in jail, so Trump would probably tell me to shut up. But I dare Judge Merchan to put Trump in jail. You will turn Trump into Nelson Mandela. He will win. Instead of winning by like 1 or 2 points in November, he's going to win by like 4 or 5 points if they put him in jail. This would be politically fantastic. Legally, it's not so fun for Trump if he has to go sit in a jail. But remember what this judge is saying, that he's ruling for the first time that if someone retweets or retruths or reposts something someone else wrote, including news stories, and had no commentary whatsoever, that for the first time in America, this judge is saying that could be contempt of court. But then the judge says it's not in every instance where you retweet and repost. It's the context, right? And that is a illegal prior restraint on free speech. It's an unconstitutional prior restraint on free speech. It's both overly broad and vague. It is a clear violation of the First Amendment.
Mike, is it possible that some higher court or any outside authority can intercept this before it keeps going on? That is, I will say, the substance. That's the most common phone call I get when we talk about these violations. People want to know, is there any chance that Trump can redress the grievances here?
Well, it depends on what these New York courts do. If they actually want to be real courts or if they just want to be Democrat activists in robes in a banana republic. President Trump has already filed what's called an Article 87 challenge in the appellate division in New York. They're currently considering that case. They've been dragging their feet for a couple of weeks now. I hope Trump updates that Article 87 petition with the appellate division soon, hopefully within the next few days. And if the New York appellate courts let this happen, they are going to destroy due process and constitutional rights to due process and your free speech rights in New York if they allow this to happen. Because remember, if they can do this to a billionaire, former and likely future president of the United States, just imagine what they'll do to the rest of us. But I am very serious about this for these Democrat prosecutors and Democrat witnesses and Democrat judges and Democrat operatives who are running this obvious lawfare and election interference, that come January 20th, 2025, there has to be a criminal probe by the Trump 47 Justice Department. This is an obvious conspiracy against rights under 18 U.S.C. 241, and there must be the most severe legal, political, and financial consequences. We have to end this lawfare and election interference. This is republic ending, and if you don't give these leftists a very strong medicine here, this will keep going over and over and over. We have to nip this in the bud now by giving them severe consequences in January.
Yeah. All right. Mike Davis, founder and president of the Article 3 Project. Thank you, sir, as always. Good to talk to you today.
Thank you.
5:21 now. WMAL, traffic and weather. When it comes to the Biden